Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
This is the Cats Roundtable with John Catsimatidis.
Everywhere around the world, they come to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they come to America.
Good morning, America. This is the Cats Roundtable. John Catsimatidis here. Well, Christmas week. I can't believe Christmas is this week already. We have a great show for you today. Dr. Peter Michalos, Live Long and Prosper. J.T. Fox has a new book out, and he is a worldwide entrepreneur. 2026, what he feels about. Lynn Shaw, about saving our kids. Peter Navarro, where are we with the tariffs and with other countries? His Royal Highness Prince Pavlo, what's going on in Europe? Timothy Burchett, well, he worries about our country a lot. And Kevin Sabet, the new marijuana law, how is that going to affect us? And to start off with, Secretary Doug Burgum on energy policies in the United States and where do we stand? With us today is Secretary Douglas Burgum. He is the Secretary of the Interior. How many things are you in charge of, Mr. Secretary?
Well, that's a good question, John, because the Interior is probably the most misnamed department in all of federal government. If we were a standalone company on Wall Street, we'd have the largest balance sheet in the world, 500 million acres of surface land across our country, 700 million acres of subsurface, just rich with minerals and energy, 3.2 billion of offshore acres, going everywhere from Guam in America and Samoa, where we've got military bases in the Pacific, all the way to the U.S. Virgin Islands. So it is 14 time zones worth of incredible natural resources, all of the national parks, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Bureau of Reclamation, which is irrigating, Arizona and California, U.S. Geologic Survey, which is doing all the mapping to find all these great materials, Bureau of Indian Affairs, 454 regulated tribes, and about a half a dozen more departments on top of that. And, of course, as we look towards 2026, we're very excited because the Department of Interior are very involved in celebrating America's 250th birthday, because not only the national parks, but all the national historic sites, the Statue of Liberty, the National Mall, the Golden Gate Recreation Area, all of these under the leadership and management of Interior. And we've got great events planned for 2026. And we're really looking forward to the next year. And wow, the great stuff that President Trump's accomplished in the last 11 months, but a full 12 months in 2026 is going to be incredible.
I know. I talked to the governor in Alaska the other day, Governor Dunleavy, I believe it is, and yes. A lot of energy is going to be coming down from Alaska. And if President Trump succeeds on opening up Venezuela again, we were promised 8 million barrels of crude oil from Venezuela. So, I mean, low energy prices, low interest rate prices, the interest rates are going to be coming down. I mean, it's all great for America.
It is great. And Alaska, what an incredible resource in Alaska. Alaska's hard. When we make these maps and then we shrink Alaska down and stick it in the lower corner and make it look like it's the size of Hawaii, a couple of islands. But Alaska is the size of California, plus Arizona, plus New Mexico, plus Texas. It's like those 4 states combined, and it's only got 800,000 people living up there. and it is rich with critical minerals, rare earth minerals, oil and gas, and all of those can be developed with just a teeny fraction of the land acres, and we can sell energy to our friends and allies so they don't have to buy it from our adversaries. It's 8 days, 8 days from Anchorage to Tokyo. It's 24 days from the Middle East. Japan, South Korea. We got 29,000 U.S. troops in South Korea. These are literally our most important allies in any kind of conflict with China. They're all completely energy dependent, and we have an opportunity to fill those countries up with energy from Alaska, and it won't affect the price of a barrel of gas or oil, or your heating your home down here in the lower 48. I mean, how blessed are we as a country to have that resource to be able to support our allies around the world. So President Trump, energy diplomacy, ending wars around the world. It's peace abroad. That means prosperity at home. And what a job he's doing. And he understands the power of energy to solve the world's problems.
Yeah, one of our other favorite subjects is, I know President Trump was very much concerned about it, is our windmills and some of the damage they're doing to the coast. Is anything new on that?
Well, there's continues to be all of the existing projects remain under review, and no new projects are contemplated or being started. So effectively, President Trump has succeeded in shutting down new construction of these highly expensive and unreliable and often dependent on foreign companies and foreign sources, all these offshore projects. I mean, they only existed because of Biden's incredible subsidies. And as you've noted, I mean, these are, whether it's the marine fisheries, whether it's the whales, whether it's radar interference, there are lots and lots of issues with offshore wind. And again, and one of the biggest misnomers is that somehow this is cheap energy. When the wind's not blowing, we still need everything else we had before. There is no energy transition. There's only energy addition. And when you add really expensive, highly subsidized, unreliable sources that are dependent on the weather, it doesn't make people's electric bills go down. I mean, at all. What we need, if you want to have low electric prices in this country, I'd say one of two things. Move to a red state. Their electric prices, like in my home state, are 10 cents versus 30 cents in New England. I mean, 1/3 the price. And it's all because of policy. Policies drive pricing. President Trump's policies are common sense, building infrastructure, energy infrastructure like pipelines. I mean, New York sits right next to one of the biggest natural gas reserves in the world in Pennsylvania. And there are times of the year when Europeans are buying Pennsylvania gas for cheaper than New Yorkers are, because New York blocks all the pipelines that would get that gas across the border and up into New England, which would lower people's heating oil costs for their home. Replacing heating oil with natural gas, that's a money saver. Generating electricity with natural gas versus wind, that's a money saver. So big opportunity for New England to have lower prices.
I live in New York. It's the environmental damage that they're doing to the coast of Long Island and New Jersey that concerns a lot of people. And I understand the price of electricity, like you said, is going to go up.
Yeah, and one other thing about the wind, which is maybe not well understood, is pipelines have been blocked in New York because they can't get a permit to cross one river. Every one of those offshore towers has to be connected to every other tower by a giant undersea electrical cable. The way those things are placed in the ground and the distance those towers are apart, some of those massive offshore wind projects were proposing to have hundreds of miles of undersea cable, and they have a process called jet trenching where they just use like a high-speed, incredible, huge like water pick, if you remember that brand from years ago, but it's just using a jet of water, and they just blow up the ocean floor to create a trench to be able to put the electric cable in. And that happens, and of course it's happening underwater, so people don't see it like they would see thing. But you can build a pipeline with a fraction of the disruption to the soil, water, and wildlife that you are what we're doing with this jet trenching on these giant offshore projects. So you're spot on, John, on the some of the damage that's being done with these offshore projects, which are all green.
And I know the president is aware of it too. But what else do you want to talk about? We got a minute left to the American people.
We're entering this Christmas season with so much gratitude. This has been an amazing year in terms of getting back towards common sense, and whether it's protecting the border, whether it's stopping inflation. There's a vision. And in Washington, D.C., I'm grateful for the opportunity. We've worked on getting D.C. clean and beautiful. We're getting ready for the celebration next year of 2026. It's going to be amazing from one side of the country to the other. And one thing that New Yorkers might be interested in, because he was born and raised in New York, but Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library opening next July, celebrating the individual that really transformed our country. The 20% of America land that's public land, a lot of that put away by Theodore Roosevelt for the benefit and the use of the American people. He didn't envision that it was going to be locked up. He knew it was a resource. He knew it was our balance sheet. He knew that it would help prosperity for all Americans. And we're going to get a chance to celebrate that legacy next year, so we look forward to that as well. And that's at the entrance to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, the only national park named after a person in the entire system. The rest are all named after places, but that place in North Dakota is where Theodore Roosevelt's ranch was after he lost his wife and his mother on the same day, on Valentine's Day in 1884. He went to North Dakota, remade himself, and then went on to become the first president to win the Medal of Honor. He's wrote more books than all the other presidents combined. What an impact he's had, and I see a lot of parallels. Theodore Roosevelt built the Panama Canal. President Trump's going to get it back for the United States. I mean, these guys are
that is terrific. And we're out of time, but Secretary Burgum and your wife Catherine, have a very Merry Christmas. Have a great week.
All right, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
The Cats Roundtable.
Well, this is Kevin Sabat, and he has done for many, many administrations in Washington drug policy. And he's done it for the George W. Bush. He's done it for Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Democrats or Republicans. And he was running the Office of National Drug Control. Kevin Sabat, welcome to our show.
Sure. So I did that for 3 different administrations, and now I'm the president of SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana. And we're the chief people opposing legalization in this country. We think it's a terrible idea. And we're really upset, I got to be honest, with President Trump moving to reschedule marijuana. It won't legalize it, but it does reclassify it, and it makes kids think that it's less harmful, even though now it's actually more harmful because of the potency. So it's a really bad move by the president. Has he done it yet, or is it he's thinking of doing it? Well, as of Saturday, it might happen. We're recording this on a Wednesday, and he hasn't done it yet. So he can't just unilaterally do it. He has to start a process. But he's shown openness and willingness to do it, mainly because a couple of his business buddies will stand to profit. Because if you reclassify it, you don't actually do much of anything other than increase profits for the pot companies, because they can now take tax deductions, which they normally weren't allowed to be able to take. So that's what I'm very worried about, to be honest. We're going to have a supercharged industry. It's going to embolden them to do a lot more than they've done before. I mean, I think I'm against that, too. And I think some of his close people around him used to represent the pot industry, marijuana industry. Isn't that true? Yeah, no, that is true. It's the pot industry, a couple of his friends, golf buddies, et cetera, that will stand to benefit from this. And, kids are going to think that it's not harmful. And actually, today's marijuana is leading to, it really causes psychosis. It causes schizophrenia, it causes IQ loss, learning, it's decaying our cities. The last thing we need is more marijuana in society, and I'm worried this is going to embolden them. I agree with you 110%. Now, tell us, if you were judging today's marijuana versus the marijuana when 20, 30 years ago when we were kids, how would you judge it? It's very different. It's been genetically bred to be much more potent and strong than it ever was. Woodstock weed was 4 or 5% potent. Now we're talking up to 99% potent with these dabs and waxes. Of course, in New York, it's been a complete disaster. We have a thriving black market. We were supposed to get rid of the black market, but we have a more thriving black market. It has been a disaster on every single level in New York, as well as the other states. So we need less of this, not more of it. And I wish the president had listened to the vast majority of his advisors. I wish he had listened to the science. I wish he had listened to, really everybody other than Susie Wiles on this, who's been pushing it. It's really unfortunate.
Well, and the good news is last week that the president declared that fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction.
Right. No, I saw that. I mean, that's fine. It's just not a coherent policy to do that and then be okay with marijuana. Marijuana now is completely, the market is the black market. It's tied with fentanyl traffickers. They're actually going to be emboldened by this, and I don't think the White House is putting two and two together. They're separating the issue of marijuana and fentanyl, and they actually are not separate.
Understood. And I agree. Kevin Sabat, I agree with you 110%. I think we are drugging down our youngsters.
That's right.
And making them stupider. Is that the nicest way to say it?
That's exactly what. No, you're right. That's what we're doing. And by the way, we're handing the future off to China and India because guess what? They're not legalizing marijuana. They're not using marijuana. They know it's bad for their future. And if this president's trying to be a global, the top of the chain here with America and as a global superpower, this is not the way to do it. In addition, this president doesn't even drink alcohol. He tells kids not to use drugs. We've seen him do that. He doesn't want people to use drugs. We know that. So he's just getting some very bad info from some of his friends, and it's really unfortunate. I think he's going to see that this is a mistake.
Well, I agree with you 110%. Thank you for speaking out. And he does listen to the show once in a while, and hopefully we all get the message across. And thank you for what you do for our country.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break.
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. All right.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
From writer-director Ryan Johnson.
The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime.
Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now playing on Netflix.
Retirement isn't just about closing out your career. It's mornings that begin with a sunrise instead of an alarm and the freedom to live the life you've always dreamed of. With a New York Life financial professional, you'll have the guidance to make it real so your years of hard work become the life you've always imagined. Your life. New York Life. More powerful together. Start today at nyl.com.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. Live long and prosper. Well, those are the words of Dr. Peter Michalos, and he's going to tell us what do we have to do to live to be 99 or 100. Give it to us.
Good morning, John, and today we're going to talk about a really evolving and fascinating area of medical research, and that is our gut microbiome. Our gut microbiome is basically the good and the bad bacteria, the trillions that live inside our gut and how they interact. And it was found, for example, when they looked at people who lived 100 years old, the people they call centenarians, they found that they all had the same 4 prominent good bacteria inside their gut. And one of them is called Lactobacillus acromantia, the other one's called Pristinella, and the other one's called Bacteriota theta iota omicron, all these Greek words. But forget the names. What's interesting is what feeds those good bacteria. And our gut microbiome is picture like a garden hose. And basically we fill our gut with, the Mother Nature's pharmacy of good bacteria from good food, which starts with whole and fresh foods. And the things that feed these good bacteria are, again, the whole and fresh food, unprocessed, that are like fruits, green leafy vegetables, nuts, a good probiotic-filled yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, berries, peas, and, of course, the polyphenol-rich extra virgin olive oil, which are the good bacteria. On the other hand, we have things that are bad bacteria. For example, recent literature found that even in our mouth, where our microbiome starts, there's a bacteria associated with gum disease. It's called P. gingivalis, and that was associated with Alzheimer's disease. So when they sampled the mouth bacteria of people with Alzheimer's, they always found higher levels of P. gingivalis, and they found that it gets into the bloodstream and it drives inflammation and helps promote these amyloid plaque builds up in the brain. So that is a big, major finding. They also found that certain bacteria from the time of birth, called Lactobacillus reuteri, those are in the gut. And they found that people who had more of that had better wound healing, lower inflammation. And they found that there's a gut-brain axis, a highway between the vagus nerve, the brain, and our gut, and it communicates. And the mother, for example, this is why breastfeeding is so important. They found that some of the mother's bacteria, that Lactobacillus reuteri, actually gets into the bloodstream, travels on red blood cells, and goes up to the woman's breast. And kids, when they get breastfed, they actually get some of those good bacteria, and that helps stimulate good hormones like oxytocin, and that's the happy hormone you feel when you have a...
Have they determined how many types of bacteria there are, or how many types of... any idea at all?
Yeah, there's basically millions of different types of bacteria and viruses.
And they all serve their own purpose?
Yeah, it's like a garden, and they all work together and like an orchestra. And when the balance goes off, for example, the health of our gut in the 1920s was very different than it is now, since the advent of antibiotics, processed foods. So when you eat, for example, processed foods that have preservatives in them that's supposed to kill bacteria so it has a longer shelf life, they go into your gut, and then they alter and they kill some of the good bacteria, and that's when you get what's called gut dysbiosis. So a lot of disease now, irritable bowel syndrome, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, all these things now are associated with bad bacteria. And they also generate gases, these bacteria. That's why when we birth, or people have, for example, even farts, they have the gases that are generated by these bacteria. Now they're working on research where you get breath analysis and you'll blow into something, and through chromatography it'll measure the content of the different good and bad bacteria, and to predict diseases. There's even a study right now that they might be able to predict lung cancer through breath analysis, and even sepsis, which is a systemic infection, through the gases that are generated by these gut bacteria. So we're learning a lot more, and also getting a good soil-based probiotic, because people now don't grow up on farms like they used to. The kids who grow up on farms and played in the soil, they seem to have stronger and better immune system. But that's why it's important to consider taking a good soil-based probiotic. For example, there's a probiotic that's associated with good brain, heart health, and longevity called Akkermansia. And it turns out that things like, for example, blackberries and pomegranate, they feed that good bacteria called Akkermansia. And you can take it. You can buy soil-based probiotics to basically stabilize your gut test. And, of course, now there's gut tests, like the Gut Zoomer test by Vibrant Wellness, where you send in a sample of your poop, and they analyze your gut. They tell you all the different bacteria you have, the good and the bad, and they make recommendations.
I eat a lot of fresh vegetables and a lot of variety. Because if you only eat one variety, you don't get all the all the bacteria or whatever. And I eat a wide variety of fruits, whether it's even key lime or anything.
Kiwis. If the
kiwis
goal is that 20 different colors per week, if you can look at your plate and say, I ate 20 different plants a week, you're doing good.
Yes.
Because you have variety and you're feeding the good bacteria, which we now know are associated with better health, better immunity, better cardiac health, and even better brain health. And that's a very important area. We're going to be hearing more, and we'll keep updating.
Yeah. If our creator made it, eat it.
That's right.
If a large manufacturer that worries about taste and shelf life, be careful.
Yep. When you alter what God created, it alters you in a bad way. So try to take it straight from the earth, and you'll be healthier and live longer and prosper.
The Cats Roundtable.
J.T. Fox, a serial entrepreneur, has businesses all over the world. And let's get his opinion on the pulse of the world. Well, J.T., Merry Christmas. I mean, I can't believe that it's Christmas time and the New Year's already. 2025 went so fast. What are you looking forward to for 2026?
Well, first of all, I think, while a lot of people and entrepreneurs might be taking it easy and say, hey, I'm going to be starting on January 5th when, the holidays are over, this is the time to plan, because I think there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. On one hand, obviously, the Republicans cannot afford to have a bad midterm, for the bad year for midterms. But on the other side, with what's happening in New York City, the uncertainty of Mandami, the uncertainty of what's going to happen, affordability being an issue, AI taking over. We have 6 AI companies as well. And what it does, it's absolutely changing. What effect is that going to have? And I think the first thing people need to do if they're listening to this is they need to get on the AI train, because it either will amplify them or replace them. And I think there's a lot of people who are not taking it seriously. And I'm seeing more and more companies calling us every day. And they're like, hey, AI, my company, nobody wants to work. I think there's a lot of uncertainty here in New York City as to what's going to happen in the business landscape. Will it be a pro-business or anti? So people are afraid. And I think everyone's going to see what's going to happen in New York. And New York is the center of the world. And if things are not going well here, you might have an exodus. I think a lot of people are waiting to see how it's going to go before they make a move. And now this is the time to double down in 2026, to be very careful, to look at every single number, take anything, and become a paranoid optimist. Paranoid, something's going to go wrong, but optimist, they will succeed.
Well, I agree with you. AI has just so many uses that we have to wait and see how it's going to be used. And it's also dangerous in many ways, because you don't know the AI. If something was AI created, so how do we protect ourselves? If something was AI created,
I think there's going to be eventually you have to assume everything's not real anymore, right? But I think the greatest uses of, say, John, you have one of the most amazing business brains in the world. And imagine people be able to tap in listening to this radio show and say, hey, what would John Katz do in terms of business or life or information, right? You already have that database, or everyone in your organization to say, hey, what would John be able to do as well? Also, efficiency. I think a lot of people don't like doing the redundant work. And so the redundancy, I think that the fear of the AI is, the development of the super weapons, right? And the drones and stuff like that, stuff that you and the president can talk about. But for us small business entrepreneurs, like, you're going to see this. And I have no doubt a company making hundreds of millions of dollars with just one human employee and 100 AI employees. We're working right now. We're seeing it live. And AI is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I think it's bigger than the iPhone development and even bigger than the internet. And, when they first came up with social media, people ignored it. When they first came up with the website, a lot of people ignored it. This is not like NFTs. This is not going anywhere. This is here, and it's only going to be double down.
For instance, I can tell AI, let's say I wanted to take Sunday off. And I can tell AI and say, come up with a show that John Catsimatidis would do based on these subjects, and do it for 48 minutes. and
not only that, John,
and have
it can
these.
take your voice.
And it'll imitate my voice, and it'll take all the news of the day, and it'll create a show.
And it'll do the research 24/7. It'll scour everything, and then we'll create different narratives. Tell me the good, the bad.
And I'll be
the
sitting
positive.
on the beach in Puerto Rico.
Pretty much. I mean, listen. I wrote a book called Billionaire versus Millionaire Thinking, and you were heavily profiled in that book. And it was a best-selling book. Was this? You simplify things, and I think a lot of people complicate things. They complicate their life, their business. You look at things as a simple problem solving. The bigger problems you solve, the more money you make, the more creative you're going to be, the more money you're going to make. This is the year of creativity, of not thinking inside the box, not thinking outside the box, but throwing the box out the window and saying this, what can I do that my customer is not doing? And it's about creating that experience, knowing who your customer is, knowing who your audience is, and delivering the right information at the right time, at the right moment. And that's what people want. Create that experience.
JT, tell us about your book and where people can buy it.
Well, Billionaire versus Millionaire Thinking, it's on Amazon. It's featured you and several other billionaires, but you were the star of it. I've learned so much from you, and also people should pick up your first book, which is the story of how you built all your successful businesses from the heart, starting from nothing. You are the epitome of the American dream, and I've been so inspired, and you inspire so many people, and thank you for doing this amazing show. We know you don't have to do it on Sunday, and you're here on Sunday getting done. Without you, I wouldn't have grown the way I've grown, and I want to thank you, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same.
JT Fox, have a great Christmas, great holiday, and a happy New Year. And I hope to see you soon in the new year.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Congressman Timothy Burchett from the state of Tennessee. And Congressman, you are mad as heck on American taxpayer money going to different countries. And one of them that you mentioned was Afghanistan. What did you have to say this week in Congress?
Yes, sir. Well, we've of course we passed our bill with your help to that would not be sending money to the Taliban. The House passed it, but unfortunately it's in the Senate, and the Democrats have virtually blocked it on the floor, voted against it because of these NGOs, and these NGOs are, as we say in Tennessee, they're crooked as a dog's leg, and they fund money through the United Nations and money that we give the United Nations, and they convert that into American dollars. And then they go, and then some of that money makes it in the hands of the Taliban, and we have the documentation from the State Department, actually. It was a classified document that was stamped unclassified. That's why I can talk about it. And it shows that we've given them close to $5 billion. Now, these are American tax dollars, and these non-government organizations are using this, and we have a pretty concise list of the ones that are doing it. And and the Democrats are arguing that it's about food, it's about paying their utilities, and poor. We got people in this country that are doing that. We don't need to pay our enemies anything, sir. They will hate us for free, and we continue to do this, and they make excuses of why they can't do it. And every week another $40 million goes into the hands of the Taliban, and it needs to stop. And it started under the Biden administration, and we're trying to stop it.
Now, all Americans should say, why are we sending money to the Taliban when $85 billion worth of our equipment disappeared there? Why? Because they took away all women's rights again, because they gave away the base we had in northern Afghanistan to the Chinese. Why would the Democrats say keep sending them money?
Well, first of all, it's you've got some of these liberal idealists that think that they're actually doing with it what they say they're doing, and then you have some. It's just pure greed. I'm afraid you've got the money from these NGOs. It's not verified, and the money will end up. You see a kickback in the form of dark money in these campaigns. You know, politics. You get a campaign, and all of a sudden, the last week, the coalition of good people in America is, and they're whatever. They have some bogus name, and you never can find out who they are, where the money comes from. And they have these horrible attack ads, and there's no way to come after them. And they're millions of dollars. And in fact, it's a lot of American tax dollars are used to do it. And Elon Musk told me, and I think he was virtually run out of town by the left and some gutless Republicans, that he told me he thinks the money's going into some of these politicians' pockets, and I tend to agree. You've got congressmen and senators. Apparently, I've been told that their family members actually work for some of these groups. I mean, $1 billion NGO, they get started, they have a great name, Feed the Hungry Children, and some billionaire puts $1 million in the fund, and then it's some unelected bureaucrat sees their financials and says, "Wow, these people are." They're doing well. Let's fund them. Elon Musk told me he thinks close to $1 trillion has funded some of these things. So it's not that complicated. If Tim Burchett can figure it out, surely Congress can figure it out. And I think some of them have, and that's why they're not opposing it. I mean, that's why they are opposing it. Excuse me.
I think that my gut feeling, we had a $2 trillion deficit last year. That if we got rid of the fraud and the needless waste of money, that maybe we wouldn't have that big of a deficit.
100%. And it's about power and control. They don't care what happens in this country. They just care that they got their Suburban and they got their little shady half-assed job on the side for one of their relatives. And they just let this country go to hell in a handbasket just as long as they can stay in power.
Understood. Anything else you want to tell the American people on a Sunday morning?
I would just say get involved. 12% of the population votes. That's what you see. That's how you elect a Marxist as the mayor of the most powerful city on the face of God's green earth.
Well, Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much, and let's pray for America. Let's work hard for America and save America for our grandkids.
Yes, sir. And a very, very politically incorrect Merry Christmas to you and a Happy Hanukkah to all the Jewish folks out there.
Merry Christmas and God bless you. And
yes, sir.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Peter Navarro, one of the head economists for our country and in charge of trade and manufacturing and advisor to the president. Well, Peter, tell us what the heck is going on in the world that keeps you up Saturday night?
So, John, this week I had an article in a publication called the Financial Times. It was about the fact that Mexico has raised tariffs on China to 50% to match United States tariffs. Now, why should anybody in New York City or around the country care about that? Well, it's simply this. It's like when we here in America put up high tariffs to protect ourselves against all the gross China cheating that happens, what China does is it takes all the product it can't dump here and dumps it elsewhere. So what our trade team has been doing is working with our allies, Mexico would be the poster child here, to have them erect the same tariffs on China as we're doing as a way of building a global tariff wall to defend against Chinese mercantilism, as a way basically of moving us towards a more prosperous world economy. And I think the significance of the article is simply that it shows that whenever we're accused of being lone rangers on tariff policy, we're actually trying to restructure the world trading system so that it benefits not just Americans, but everybody else. And the other thing that was interesting about the article, John, I've been saying this for, I guess, getting on 20 years now, going back to the day I published The Coming China Wars in 2006. here's the problem. It's like China is like a communist country. It's a people's republic. It doesn't have any pension or health care benefits for its people. It's like a Dickensian nation. It's like nasty Brutus and short life. And so
the value of life in China is not very
it's not great. So what if you're a working class Chinese person, what you have to do is squirrel away all the money you earn into savings accounts in case you get sick or for your retirement. And what you're not doing when you do that is you're not spending on consumption. And when you're not doing that, you're not feeding the domestic economy. So China winds up exporting to the world in order to grow its economy. And basically they're screwing everybody. So the article talks about why they need to move to have policies which help their own people, which they don't. I mean, it's basically a scam for the Communist Chinese Party officials and some corporate elites there.
Is it solving the problem of making China more ready to make a deal with us?
The more pressure that we're able to put on them, both directly and indirectly, the more they may be willing to make a deal. But let's be clear. It's like they haven't shown any strong indication that they want to move forward aggressively on a deal. And yeah, I remember, and I was there in the first term, we had a beautiful deal, which they backed away from, and then we had a skinny deal, which they never fulfilled. So this is all fraught with risk, but President Trump's managing this beautifully in a way which is helping the American people and helping to create jobs
and creating jobs. And as I tell people, the purpose of tariffs is saving jobs and not make it free for some of the corporate companies to move their businesses to Mexico or move it to Canada or move it overseas. So if they're going to be penalized by tariffs, it pays for them to keep it back in the good old USA and keep the American jobs.
That's the formula, and it's working beautifully. And it's going in, I think 26 is going to be a very good year as the big, beautiful tax bill benefits take hold. 100% depreciation. Johnny, you know, as an entrepreneur yourself, what kind of investment that sparks. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. That'll help blue-collar America in a big way.
And the price of energy is down to the 50s, WTI. And if Trump finishes kicking the butt of Chairman Powell, interest rates will go down, and that'll help American business.
Well, I think we keep learning with the reports we're getting, like the jobs report that just came out this last week. It's like the Fed's been behind the curve. And I've been saying they should have lowered their rates. We're 150 basis points higher than we should be. And it's just a shame that Powell is such a obstinate fool. I mean, he's just not an impressive man.
I think you're 100% right. I think he allowed, in my opinion, politics to come into the Fed. Peter Navarro, thank you so much. Keep doing a great job for our country, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Yeah, PeterNavarro.com if you want to see the stuff coming out of the White House that I'm doing. PeterNavarro.com, that's a good place to go.
Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.
You too, brother. Back at you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable.
Someday at Christmas, men won't be boys, playing with bombs like kids play with toys. One warm December, our hearts will see a world where men are free. Yes.
Christmas is around the corner. And with us today is Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Pavlo of Greece. He is also first cousins with King Charles. well, Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas to everybody. Yeah, good to be back in New York, and it's very Christmassy right now. Flew in from Athens, and it's a big difference, but good spirits here.
Now, tell me, one of the good news I heard in the last week or so was the fact that your cousin, King Charles, is feeling much better, and he's looking towards success in beating the cancer he had.
Yes, I think the news sounds very good, very positive. He's been working through it all the time. He's, like yourself, doesn't stop working, and he's worked through his cancer and managed to stay in touch with the public and in his work. So I'm very happy that he's supposed to be on the mend, and that he'll carry on doing a great job.
That's great news. Great news. I always like to hear great news and good news during Christmas time. Yeah. Also, you work very closely with King Charles on his charity for children. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a charity actually for young adults. It's called the King's Trust International, which has now also got a piece here in the United States, and they're working on projects here. And the idea is to help young people get into work, either through normal employment or through entrepreneurial side. And they've done a great job. And I've worked with them, and opened the whole project up in Athens for them. And we've done a terrific job over there. And we're looking forward to doing more work here in the United States. Youth is our future, and if they can get good work and find the right path, then all the other problems that come along are reduced. When youth can't find work, trouble starts.
The European community, there's so many problems. Any of them really concern you?
Well, I think the main issue that we have in Europe, like other places, might be the immigration issue, and the level of the economy, protecting the lower end, so lower middle class and lower as far as their abilities to afford their food and their rent. So these are big issues that are affecting us right now. In Greece, we have that problem, not as much in the immigration side. We are bordering with places like Turkey, which sometimes send a lot of people over by boats, and so far the immigration there that we've managed to block most of them, and some of them have been going further north and not staying in Greece. So we have that under control over there. But other parts of the country, or Europe rather, are having much more problem controlling their immigration, and their societies are changing in front of us in the last 20 years in a big way. Names are showing that different type of people are becoming settlers in their countries, and they're not always looking to be like locals. They want to keep their own habits rather than integrate. Us Greeks, when we came to the United States, we integrated. We're all Americans.
You're assimilated. Yeah. You're assimilated into the United States, or the Greeks that went to UK. They assimilated. Yeah. But it seems like some of the people coming into the European countries are not assimilating and trying to, like some of them that are coming into the United States in the last 5 years, they're trying to change our way of life versus assimilating.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is assimilate, and then obviously you can believe in whatever you want to believe, but you just have to become an American first, and then you can choose.
In other words, I agree with you 100%. Religious freedom is always religious freedom. You could believe whatever you want to believe. Absolutely. And you can do, worship any way you want, and you could speak any way you want, but don't try to change our way of life.
Correct.
I agree with
that's
you.
what makes this country great, that it managed to, immigration, people say it's terrible, but it's not terrible. Immigration is what made this country great. New people coming in, but it's how they come in and how they assimilate. And that's what we have to. That's where things changed nowadays. That they were not assimilating, and they were coming in huge numbers that were uncontrollable. Without, you come through a border and you show your passport and you get allowed in. That's fine. But you don't do that in the right way, then you should, be taken back and start all over again.
I agree. Anything else you want to tell the American people?
Well, we love being in America. I think America always has an open door for most people as long as you behave, and so I thank them for that. I've lived in this country for many years, and have enjoyed the hospitality. My kids have been to schools here and are in universities as well. So there's a lot of great things in this country that we are still happy with, and look forward to the continued success and relationships with countries like Greece and America. So Merry Christmas to everybody, and a very strong and healthy new year in 2026.
Well, Merry Christmas, Your Royal Highness, Crown Prince. I always have to start with that. I got to give you your title.
You're very kind, but I like to go by the name of Pavlos, which is my first name, and everybody knows me as that. And I appreciate you always being so nice to me. But walk down the street, I'm Pavlos to everybody.
Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the holiday season. Enjoy Christmas. Enjoy the New Year, and hopefully the New Year will be better for all of us.
Thank you to you too.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today, Lynn Shaw, Lynn's Warriors. What's going on for our kids this week? I understand a new executive order has been signed by the president on Thursday on marijuana. It went from a stage 1 drug to a stage 3 drug. And what does that mean?
So President Trump, executive order, he wants to ease the restrictions on the drug. What does this mean? We have heard for decades about marijuana should not be classified as this harmful drug, like LSD and heroin and cocaine. And so there has been discussion for years now. Now he signed the executive order. What it means, he's moving it from this Schedule 1, most dangerous drug, to Schedule 3, therefore aligning it with things like, Tylenol with codeine to make it less restrictive for the cannabis industries. His words, not mine. He wants to ease them from financial burdens, tax exemptions, all these different things. He also wants more research done with cannabis. He also wants, with Dr. Oz, they're claiming that, not claiming, this is what they're saying, that they want to be able, for pain management, which we've all known, cancer patients, how it eases the pain and helps them and things like that, but also for vets and the elderly, how we can have, these cannabis-infused products, which will help them with life and longevity and all of that. But you know what, John? We are missing what this means for children and families. And that's what I want to tell you about. The marijuana of past decades is gone. Today's products are more potent, more addictive, and aggressively marketed through these edibles, vapes, and packaging, specifically designed to appeal to our kids. They are on purpose. This marijuana, or as I say, cannabis industry, marketing to kids. That's where the money is. That's where the future addiction, lifelong. They can get that money. And you know what? The psychosis rates among teens are rising faster than we can keep up with. But schools and parents are dealing with consequences. It's not just the kids smoking a joint. Consequences medically long after all of this executive order stuff fades. And I'll tell you why. Kids today, we know there's a youth mental health problem. So they're turning to alternative methods of easing their pain. That can be online. They're turning to drugs. Drugs, by the way, John, that they are buying online. But the president wants to reduce these federal restrictions on the drug. But here's what's going to happen. More kids, it is so potent, are going to continue buying their drugs from strangers and online. Today's marijuana, John, has fentanyl in it. Parents contact me and say, please get it out into the media, out into the world, that the marijuana, always considered, a safer choice than other drugs. So kids think that. That's in their mind, right? Okay, we'll smoke marijuana. Well, the marijuana today has fentanyl. All of these chemicals are coming through China, okay, up through Mexico, the cartels. Now it's in the marijuana. So this executive order is not addressing anything like that. And kids, remember, their brains are still developing. And remember, long-term mental health damage, more burden on the healthcare system. But the edibles and vapes, because people think if you eat the gummy bears and stuff, that's easier. But there's no time release. So they'll eat a whole bag of gummy bears, right, and have this horrible reaction of vomiting and ending up in ERs and things like that. And there's a lot of vaping going on. And again, why is it not considered targeted exposure to children when these edibles and vapes are packaged in, hot pink, purple? It just looks like regular, potato chips and things like that, and cookies. Again, they're targeting kids. and schools are reporting back to this. Everything I'm saying to you, John, is based on, there's lots of studies, lots of facts, lots of doctors behind all of this. But teachers are reporting that the kids are impaired. They're coming to class. Obviously, there's something wrong with them falling asleep on their desks. They're high, something like that. So, again, now we're adding to our already burdened and failing education system. We are helping, teachers and administrators. This is just helping them more of that, more burdensome. So they are being overwhelmed by this substance-related behavior issues. And what I don't understand, John, we regulate alcohol, tobacco, because we say don't
So
drink
what
and
happens
drive.
now? A doctor can dispense with the marijuana, and they have to go to the pharmacy and get it?
You go to right now. There are many states that have these government-sanctioned cannabis shops. There are a lot of illegal ones too. But there you go and you get it. You can get prescriptions. It's been happening for the last, I'd say, 5 years or so. Prescription for your anxiety, your nerves. It's medical marijuana, right? We've heard this for about 5 to 8 years maybe now. The problem is, while we can all agree it does have some health benefits for those suffering in pain, right?
Yes.
I do not like when I hear an executive order that will ease the burden on the cannabis industry. So, it'll make it easier for them. That may be well, good, and fine, John, but what about the flip side? What about dealing now? You're going to do that? You also equally have to deal with how will this affect children? How will this affect families? How will this affect our health care system?
Yeah.
People have to learn the difference between all of this. Yes, who's going to go? They are actually prescribing already. Psychologists and psychiatrists are prescribing it. Again, we're talking about addiction.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about it will still be illegal to children. So the president pointed out, we're not legalizing marijuana, right? But he's not explaining fully what this actually means. And I'm comparing it to the Internet. We have the same situation. It's like the same thing. We don't describe the harms to kids and families.
Okay, we have 30 seconds left. What do we conclude?
What we want everybody to do is go to linswarriors.org, and you know what? Don't trust the hype out there. Marijuana is not mild, is not good. Stay away from it, but talk to your kids.
Thank you so much, and keep fighting for our kids.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. Every Sunday morning, we'll bring you the latest in what's happening in our community, our country, and the world. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a nice Sunday.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.